Hello everyone, this is Helios Raven. I tell you how to do it, even if you don't care. And welcome to How to Play Battlefleet Gothic Lesson 3B, Basic Shooting. And before we go on, I just want to make something clear in case anyone didn't notice. With the Nova Cannon, when a ship is hit by it, the shields do absorb damage, so if they have any shields left, you place a blast marker on touching the stand of the ship. And because basically all it is the Nova Cannon auto hits, it doesn't have to roll for anything, but again, shields still take the damage as normal, if the shields would be applied. So, now we're moving on to one of the hardest parts of the shootings phase, and at least with some of the questions that I get from private messages and such, seems to be the one part that a lot of people tend to get really lost and confused on, and that is firing the weapon batteries. And so, let us begin. Okay, so with weapon batteries, it works a little bit different. It does get a little bit complicated, but you're also going to find out why I kind of consider weapon batteries to factor in if a ship is a close range or a long range ship in this video. Excuse me. Now, what you first got to do is you first got to decide what kind of ship you're firing at. It's either a defense vehicle, like a station or a fortress or something. A capital ship, which counts as a cruiser or a battleship or a grand cruiser, an escort, or an ordnance. These will be this determines what kind of ship you're firing on. The second thing you got to decide is how are you firing at the ship. Now, what this means is which side of the ship are you hitting with your attacking vessel. So we're going to assume this is the attacking vessel. So now, the way that this is going, this vessel is attacking the side of this ship, which means it's hitting the abeam side. Basically, each category has a selection. There's abeam, closing, abeam, moving away, closing. And what you really have to determine is what the shots are going to hit on. So at this point, we're firing at a ship that is abeam. Now it is a ship that is closing. Now it is a ship that's abeam again. And now it's a ship that's moving away. But the classic for most, ships, for movies and such, is abeam. So we're going to go with abeam. And we look at our chart here. We're firing at a cruiser, which counts as a capital ship. And we look for the abeam, so capital ship abeam. And we use this column here to determine what we're going to do with. We determine our results here. We then look at the ship itself. We are firing on the port side, which is port side firing arc, which is determined by right there. Now, just so everyone is aware also, technically, if you had any front-facing weapons, we could fire those as well. If he had a set of weapon batteries on his left and separate weapon batteries on his front arc, since they do touch the since the line does basically touch the goes through the stand, we can actually attack with both, because he's in both firing arcs, I believe. Let's see. Yeah, he's in both firing arcs. So we could combine all of our shots together, but we're not. We only have weapon batteries on our side, and that is a total of 6. If you did have multiple weapon batteries attacking him within, say, a squadron or a ship with multiple weapon batteries it can fire, you would total all of it up, and we see that it is a 6. Then we now take a look into different factors on this side. We then slide over to closing 6 under capital ship, that's abeam, and we see that the number is 2. Now, we have to check, because there's some different modifiers. Looking at this, he is within 15 centimeters, so we get one column shift to the left from where we were. We then look at here, there are no blast markers whatsoever, and so since there's no blast markers there, we also take a look that there's no other factors coming in here, and so we look and we see that we have 3. That's how many dice we roll. This ship has an armor of 5 on its side, since we're not attacking on this front. Actually, looking at it here, the attacks are are argumentatively hitting the side, it touches the line here. So argumentatively we could say that it's either the front arc or the, actually drawn here, yeah, looking at it, it looks like, you know, we'd be drawing a front line. So this is one of those gray areas. Usually what we would decide to do is we'd probably decide to take the weaker side. Me and Phil would probably go with, you know, we'll just count that as side armor, so, because it is technically a beam, so we'd probably go with that, which is 5. Most ships you won't have this issue with, you know, with Imperial Guard is special. And we need now 5s or better to hit them. Okay. There are 2 5s here. So he takes 2 shots to his shields. So we then place 2 blast markers right here. Okay. So there are 2 blast markers now where the shots came from. Now let's just say, for argument's sake here, just so we can get another example of column shifting, this ship is right here. Now, there's 2 blast markers touching it. So it's still a beam, and we look at it, so it's a beam. We go 1 shift over for being within 15 centimeters, and then 1 shift back because they're blast markers in between us, which gives us 2 dice. And we roll those 2 dice, and we have 1 5. So then a 3rd damage blast marker is there, and then so the blast markers are there, and so now his shields are down. So now if this ship takes any more attacks, it's actually, oh, I'm sorry, I misread his thing. He only has 2 shields, so that 1 point of damage goes right to his his HP, so he's down to 7 HP. So basically now this ship is royally screwed because of that first attack that happened. And that's basically it for the weapon table. That's how it's basically done. And now we're going to go over something. What it is which does involve the fact that he took regular damage. Whenever you take damage that isn't absorbed by your shields and goes straight for the ship's hull points, you have to check for critical. Now, the way critical works is, let's just say, for example, he took 3 shots from a weapon battery into his hit points. For each of those 3 shots, I roll 3d6, and every 6 counts as a crit. Okay, so there's no criticals on this tape, But let's just say, for example, it does get a critical. We would then, what would happen then is, we would take 2d6 and roll it against the chart, which we'll put up right here. And so I rolled a 4, which is no extra damage is done, but the port armament is destroyed. And basically, it's basically destroyed until it's repaired, which we'll get into later. And when a ship like this hits 0 hit points, we then roll on what's called the catastrophic table. The catastrophic table is what happens when basically the ship runs out of hit points and it blows up. You would roll 2d6 and total it up, so 5, and that is 1 blast marker is put on, and it becomes a drifting hulk, as per the chart says. Now, you don't need to roll to do catastrophic damage. It's literally, even if it's non-critical damage, this ship goes down to 0 hit points, it blows up. And that is basically it for that. Let us now talk about something I should have talked about in the beginning, which is firing arcs. Every ship has a firing arc, which is determined by the bearing compass. The bearing compass dictates you would line it up where the stem of the ship is. I usually put on like the center, like where I'd consider the bridge of the ship. But this one would be placed on the center of the ship, which is about there. And this is its side arcs, and this is its front arc, and its rear arc. This determines what weapon batteries can hit what ship. So like, for example, in this case right here, when we place the weapon marker in, it's in its front firing arc, but not the side firing arcs, which means I can't shoot it with my side weapons, I can only shoot with my front arcing weapon. Now this type of thing, where this one here, okay, we have a line, the line draws and touches the base stand of the ship. Here, let me move it so it's a little bit better. The side arc line draws right there. Sorry. The side arc line drives right through the ship's stand, which means I can fire my front weapon and the side weapon at this vessel at the same time, which basically does more damage. So if you can position your ship right, you can get it where you can get a lot of massive damage onto one vessel because you got two firing arc of weapons hitting it. Technically, I can put torpedoes right on this edge here because it's still in the firing arc and have it right into it, or so on and so forth. And so what basically the firing arc determines is what weapons you can hit with. So like, for example, this has a port weapon battery and a starboard weapon battery, so it has two weapons that can fire this way in that pie shot. And then it's got torpedoes in its front arc, so it can fire its torpedoes in the pie shot in the front of it. Now say if you've got two ships going, okay? We are just going to imagine for a second, 1 minute. Okay, this battleship is going to attack these two vessels. Now, lining up the shot here, its firing arc has both of them in its side arc, which it has on its port side a weapon battery with a firepower of 10. What I can do is I can split that weapon battery fire into 5. 5 into this guy, 5 into that guy, or 9 into this guy, 1 into this guy. I can combine any type of number of fire powers that I want into the vessels, as long as if the ship went under any special order, I have the weapon, the strength of the weapon down before splitting. So if it's under a special order and its weapon systems are at half strength, it's 5, and then from there I can do 2 and 3 or 3 and 2 or 4 and 1, whichever. It all same goes with lances. You know, if you have 3 lance batteries in one shot, like this one has a lance battery that's firepower 2, as long as, and it's in a left-right firing arc, they're still in that firing arc there, I can then have 1 lance shot fire at this guy and 1 lance fire at this guy. And that is basically what you can do for splitting your fire. And that is basically it for the shooting phase, and we'll continue this next week with the ordnance phase. If you have any questions about what I talked about in this video, please feel free to post a question in the comments section and I will get back to you. And also what I'll probably do is and if I get the same question frequently, I'm going to then just post a video. I will not probably respond to the question directly. What I'll probably do is I'll put it in the beginning of my next video if I get the same question frequently over and over again. But so, like, you have any questions you need me to clear up on this, write it down in the comments section. I will get back to you. And so thank you all for watching. Until next time, this is Helios Raven signing off.